That motivation thing, though, is so hard for some of these guys when it's so hard. You have kids, you have all this stuff going on. But I was just wondering, your whole thing is you can go to the other side of it, of overtraining. And tell me a story of overtraining. Somebody asked, what is it to overtrain? And I don't know if you guys have ever felt this, but it's a pretty weird thing to be overtrained. Have you ever been through it?
Oh yeah. It's back, in the earlier years of my professional career, and as Richard was saying, this Eddie Merckx, who was a champion cyclist. What years was it? In the 70s, he won how many tours? 5 Tour de France.
5 tours, yeah.
His saying was just ride, and ride. Back when I first started, I didn't have a coach or anything, so that's what I did. Even my easy days would be, my recovery days would be 4 hours on the bike.
But you recovered?
Because this was my job, so I felt like I still had. This is what I had to do. I quickly learned when I couldn't really.
What are the symptoms?
Extreme fatigue. Just the legs couldn't move basically, right. And just really feeling on the bike, just feeling without any power.
Right.
And so I learned by my own faults throughout my career that there's times to train hard and there's times to rest. Again, like I said before, you train hard, rest hard. Without the rest, you can't reach your potential. It's about half my teammates, their fathers were professional, and so everybody knew what to do. And the thing was, once you're off your bike, stay off your feet as much as possible, rest and recover.
It's the hardest thing is to get your body ready for the next thing, and a lot of it has to do with the week going into their big ride. Is the big thing.
That doesn't have to be. You don't have to do that for 365 days a year, but certainly for the 2 weeks, especially the week before your big ride, it's really important to be, use your time efficiently, and during the times when you can rest, go out of your way to get that extra rest, and you'll feel it on your day, on your big ride day. That's for sure.
And a lot of times you almost feel too rested.
And you feel almost itchy, and you feel like, in a way, that you're losing fitness, but just extra rest that final week is
How do you rest in the Tour de France?
Well, it's hard, but
how long is the taper going into it? Because you're doing the Tour of Romandy right before it.
Yeah, usually for a race like the Tour, you'll typically do it like a warm-up race, maybe 2 weeks before the start of the race.
And the warm-up races have 30,000 spectators at the finish, by the way. There's a lot of money to win them. And he won the Tour of Romandy twice, which is one of the best, one of the prettiest races you can ever see.
But yeah, the week before the Tour starts, it's just about, you're tapering down. You usually cut your volume by probably 60%, but you keep a little bit of the intensity, and it's just resting as much as possible, keeping the feet up, drinking a lot of water.
Let's change it to diet, because one of the biggest things, I do the Harpoon B2B ride every year. It's 150 miles, one of the greatest rides in New England. And for that ride, I try to get my weight down as low as I can get it. How important is weight loss?
I mean, it depends what kind of ride or race you're getting ready for, but obviously the hillier it is, the more important weight is. This all comes down to your strength to weight ratio. When you're training hard, it's about making smart choices. You get back from a hard workout, and number one is stocking your refrigerator with healthy foods. If you have unhealthy food in there, there's a good chance you're going to eat it, right?
Right.
So
I eat a lot of it.
A lot of fruits and vegetables, and then on your easier days, it's important to cut back on the calories. Your body still might be kind of screaming like I'm hungry because yesterday I did this long ride. But
I remember reading once you just had to eat salad.
I ate a lot of salad. A lot of salad. Too much, but it helped me lose the weight. A lot of fruit. Apples were great for me. It's a lot of bulk, but it's really not a whole lot of calories. And very healthy.
Your teammate Bobby Julich once said he would finish a long ride and he'd do a smoothie with protein powder, and that would keep him from reaching for beer and chip. It was like throw something down the pipe.
Right. Sometimes you might finish a workout an hour and a half, 2 hours before dinner or before lunch or whenever you're riding, and just a little something to tie you over, and if you can hold off before really just going to town, it's important.
Let's talk about going into the big ride though. Now what do you do? People use these old 1970s antiquated carbo loading stuff
Yeah,
that
yeah.
is loud. What do you change anything?
And I'll typically eat more carbohydrates than normal, but it's not about eating like 8 bowls of pasta.
Right.
Again, I think it's just about having a balanced diet. It's important to include your protein. But if you're getting ready for a 100-mile ride, the night before, it's certainly important to maybe skip the salad and focus a little bit more on the bowl of pasta.
And night before, there's a great party we all go to the night before this ride.
Oh,
so,
really?
I was just wondering, what's your
Well,
suggestion
yeah,
there?
if you can, hold off, be a little bit disciplined, and try to avoid, you can have a beer or two, but like try to cut yourself off of that and try to stick, wait, you can celebrate after the ride, and try to stay hydrated, avoid the chocolate cake maybe.
That? Yeah.
It's all about moderation. You can, give yourself a pat on the back after you finish the ride, and then you can really take a step off that diet.
Day of the Best Buddies ride, or it may be the PMC, or maybe one of the other rides you guys are doing. The day of, what's the 3-hour rule that everybody adheres to?
Yeah, typically in bike racing, you always eat your sort of pre-race meal about 3 hours before your event. So, if the race, you always know if the race starts at noon, the team manager is going to tell you have to be at breakfast at 9.
Right.
If it starts at 10, it's 7 o'clock breakfast. So typically you feel like everything's digested and you're ready to roll. You don't have a big wad of foods just sitting and half digested in your stomach. So,
During
I'd
the
say
ride.
Minimum at least 2.5 hours before.
And during the ride, what are you eating? Because a lot of people,
Sort of constantly eating,
but eat before you need it.
Yeah, exactly. It's really important. It's they call it bonking. It's really when you run out of sugar and your body goes into deficit. I've done that one too many times.
Yeah, I can think of one story, and we'll let them tell one race story, that apparently the thing that a Snickers bar would have won the Giro d'Italia for you. Is that true?
Well, I don't know.
Tell that story.
I don't want to be an armchair quarterback, but yeah, I made a mistake in one of the biggest races in the world. It was a long day. It was a 7-hour day, and it was in the 3rd week of a Grand Tour, and it was the last mountain stage, and I had the opportunity to take over the lead of the race and most likely win the race.
He was what they call the leader on the road.
Yeah, I was like
You had dropped Cadell Evans, I wanna say.
virtual leader.
And he was
I
leading.
went from 1 minute feeling fantastic, I'm going to win this race, to the next minute running out of sugar and just crawling up this hill.
Yeah.
And I lost a 3-week race in about a 20-minute window.
And one Snickers bar would have done it?
Probably about this much.
Right.
Just, your body will shut down actually before it really is in deficit, because it goes into that like safety sort of emergency zone.
Right.
So your brain basically shuts your body down before it actually needs to shut down.
And part of these things that people don't know, you'll think, and this is what I love with beginner athletes, I must have not trained, or I'm no good, or whereas an experienced rider will tell you I'm dehydrated, or this is the bonk. I've run into many a CVS and wolfed down a Snickers bar, and I'm good as gold in 5 minutes.
Right.
It's just a matter of knowing how to eat throughout the day.
Yeah, just a little bit every 20 minutes or half hour.
Yeah.
And sometimes you're caught up in the moment. I feel fantastic. I don't need to eat.
Right.
I feel great. I don't why put something in my stomach that's going to make me feel
Right.
fill me up, and so.
The other end of that is hydration. I remember reading about you being dehydrated once, pretty extremely. Tell me about, and what's the preventive measures for dehydration? Obviously, it seems easy, drink a lot, but for a really big ride on a hot day.
Yeah, if for one, if it's going to be the night before a big day, if it's going to be a hot day, add some extra salt to your diet. Absolutely. It'll help sort of retain some water, and you'll appreciate it the next day in the last hour or two. That's for sure.